Stephen King is the master of horror. He's an ungodly writing machine who turns out 3 pages a day and most of it's great. The insufferable bastard. How do you do it?
And I have a routine because I think that writing is self-hypnosis.
He's created an incredible amount of stories in his life, some that will forever be remembered, some of which have created amazing movies. Carrie, Shining, Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile, Misery, Dreamcatcher, not that last one. His body of work is already legendary and he ain't done anytime soon. There are lots of lists of best Stephen King things, best films, best novels. We thought we'd start out with something a little different. I'm Adam from Whatculture.com and here are the 10 creepiest Stephen King characters ever. Number 10, Margaret White. Carrie's mother from, well, Carrie is a genuine MILF, i.e. a mother I've learned to fear. She's a religious zealot, shaming her daughter at every turn and playing havoc with her mind. People have the image of Carrie covered in blood so entrenched in their minds that people sometimes forget that the true monster of the piece is not Carrie, it's her mum. She manipulates her daughter with religious credos, locks her in a prayer closet, breaks her down into a vulnerable mess, and then, when it looks like she's losing her power over her, tries to straight up murder her own daughter. She meets her doom reciting the Lord's Prayer, and she's deeply unnerving because there's nothing supernatural about her, just a very recognisable strain of social control found in religious zealots. Number 9, Gage Creed. Pet Cemetery, and I will always cringe at the way he spells cemetery, is about a father devastated by the tragic death of his son Gage via 18-wheeling. He buries him in a special cemetery with the mystical ability to bring creatures back to life, except that when they come back, something else comes back with them. He becomes a terror tot who kills people with scalpels, which is absolutely deserving of the naughty step. There's just something about murderous kids wielding sharpened medical equipment that's just a bit unnerving. Can't quite put my finger on it. Number 8, Cujo. From a murderous child to a murderous pet now, with King showing that no symbol of innocence and goodness is off limits, Cujo is a faithful St. Bernard, all floppy cheeks and happiness, until he's bitten by a rabid bat and goes ding-dong merrily on mental. It's truly upsetting to see a treasured family pal descend into madness and commit double murder. That's a bad dog. That's just a really bad dog. Number 7, Collie and Trajan. Desperation is a novel about a demonic entity called Tack who possesses people and gets them to do needlessly evil things because demonic entities are all about that. Hashtag prank bands. First soul to be possessed, Collie and Trajan.
Are you deaf? Get in the car! Get in the car!
Now, you don't have to be portrayed by Ron Perlman to be creepy, but gosh, it helps. Stir into the mix that he plays a corrupt cop whose first proper act is to execute a man called Peter Jackson. Not that one. Not that one. Then on top of that psycho Perlman Sunday, pop the juicy fact that he's internally and externally hemorrhaging vast amounts of blood, and you've got an over-ready recipe for a creepy Number 6, Kurt DeSander and Todd Bowden. It's hard to determine which of the two main characters in King's novella apt pupil is the creepiest. Is it Kurt DeSander, the incognito Nazi war criminal whose efficiency at running a concentration camp was commended by Hitler himself? Or is it in fact Todd Bowden, the teenager who's grimly fascinated with the Holocaust and dresses DeSander up in an SS uniform, forces him to march around and retell his stories from the war in grisly detail, eventually becoming so unable to function without death that he starts killing homeless people? Actually, it's not too hard to work out which one of those is the creepiest. Oh, wait, but coming from behind, apparently DeSander starts killing homeless people too, and he also pretends to be Todd's grandfather, so it's actually quite... Yeah, it's quite a dark one, that, people. Yeah. Number 5, Leyland Gaunt. Needful Things is a novel about the worst shop in the world, except perhaps Selfridges. It's run by Leyland Gaunt, a charming old man who is exactly what he appears and at no point ever displays any malicious intent towards the people of Castle Rock, the recurring town populated by only the luckiest people in the world. All the goods that Gaunt sells in his shop are dirt cheap, except they require whoever buys them to play a prank on someone else in the town. Gradually, the pranks open old wounds between the residents, escalating to violence, bloodshed, and destruction. Before he skips town, Gaunt is revealed to be a lizard-like dwarf demon who scarpers on his carriage pulled by a single white horse with glowing red eyes. He's a malevolent force of manipulation and seduction, but he's still better than Mr. Selfridge. Number 4, Annie Wilkes. It's always nice to have fans, even though, if the comment section is to be believed, they are often madder than a sock full of hornets, but fans don't get madder than Annie Wilkes, the deranged antagonist of Misery. Paul Sheldon, acclaimed author of the Misery series of romantic novels, is rescued from a car accident by Wilkes. When she discovers that he's killed off her beloved Misery character, she forces him to write a sequel where she's resurrected, cutting off one of his feet with an axe when he tries to escape. In the film, his leg is ruined by a sledgehammer. Kapow! Not content with stalker obsession, it's also heavily implied that during her days as a nurse, she's been responsible for the deaths of many children, just in case the whole axe to the foot thing wasn't enough to convince you she's a wrong'un.
He didn't get out of the cock-a-doodie car!
Number 3, Kurt Barlow. Stephen King's vampire novel Salem's Lot is basically Twilight, but with the title changed, and the main characters, and the plot, and the level of quality. Kurt Barlow moves to the town of Salem's Lot and begins a fun game of let's make all the vampires in the world! Over the course of the novel, nearly the entire town succumbs to vampirism, which plays absolute havoc with the property prices. At the centre of all the destruction is the cruel and sinister Barlow, slowly robbing the town of life. He's a human cancer, and he's a living epitome of the phrase, there goes the neighbourhood, except, without the horrible racial implications. Number 2, Randall Flagg. King describes Flagg as the best villain he's ever created. He appears in at least 9 of King's books, dotted around time and space like an eternal pus-fueled boil on the ass of mankind. Like the Joker, he has no concrete backstory. He remembers being a Marine, a Klansman, but when talking about his origins, he says that he just became. He's a sorcerer, a cult leader, a walking embodiment of decay and death, walking the American plains and making the world a worse place. Tom Cullen, another character in The Stand, Flagg's first King appearance, describes him as, he looks like anyone you see on the street, but when he grins, birds fall dead off telephone lines. When he looks at you a certain way, your prostate goes bad and your urine burns. The grass yellows up and dies where he spits. He's always outside. And number 1, It, aka Pennywise the Clown. Ah, the clown, the goddamn clown. It, often capitalized as IT, which for anyone who works in IT knows those are the 2 most evil letters in the world, is a creature from a void in space known as the Macroverse, who wakes up once every 30 years to feed on humans, often disguised as Pennywise the dancing clown, or whatever its subject is most afraid of, because scared flesh tastes better, the creepy, creepy bastard. The human brain cannot comprehend its true form, sort of made of evil orange lights but also hairy. It also becomes a giant spider, abusive fathers, a mummy, Dracula, a ghost moon, a werewolf, and Tim Curry, which we can all agree is the closest thing to living evil in this world. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from Whatculture.com, and I'll see you soon.